You're listening to a Roddenberry podcast.
Today is Tuesday, April 20th, 2021, and this is your daily Star Trek news from the Roddenberry Podcast Network. On today's show, Michael Dorn teases a return to Star Trek, which basically sets the internet on fire. The Discovery Season 3 soundtrack is now available from Lakeshore Records, and I've got this week's festive Trek trivia. I'm Alison Pitt, and today's show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Get 10% off your first month of counseling by visiting betterhelp.com/DSTN. Right. First up, Michael Dorn really knows how to get Star Trek fans' attention. And just in case you weren't on Twitter yesterday afternoon, here's a brief recap of what happened. At approximately 12:48 p.m. Pacific Time on Monday, April 19th, Star Trek The Next Generation and Star Trek Deep Space Nine actor Michael Dorn tweeted the following: "Just got the news, being summoned back into action. Starfleet calls, #ad. Cue the Trek fandom going out of their Vulcan minds. Many fans saw Dorn's tweet as an explicit confirmation that he would be appearing as Worf in one of the current Star Trek series, most likely Star Trek Picard due to its time setting. However, many other fans also pointed out that since the tweet was tagged #ad, something that Paramount Plus doesn't typically do for major casting announcements, he may well have been talking about something else entirely." Shortly after Dorn's tweet blew up, IO9's James Whitbrook came to the rescue, tweeting, "Oh, hey, Star Trek fans." IO9 got confirmation from CBS that this has nothing to do with the Star Trek universe on Paramount Plus original series, so don't get your hopes up. Shortly after that, TrekMovie.com echoed a similar sentiment from Paramount Pictures regarding the film side of the franchise, noting in a report, "A spokesperson for Paramount Pictures has confirmed they are not behind this new tease from Mr. Dorn." Even TrekCore got in on the action, tweeting a picture of Jonathan Frakes wearing a t-shirt with the slogan, "Don't ask me, I signed an NDA." They captioned the photo, "Why you shouldn't ever expect massive Star Trek casting news in a non-studio tweet." So, what is Dorn's tweet about? Now, there's been no word so far, although by the time you're hearing about it here, we may have had news, it's hard to say. One possible explanation is a new voiceover role in one of the several Star Trek video games that are currently on the market. And herewith, we venture into some speculation. Star Trek Online and Star Trek Fleet Command are two of the biggest games currently, but Star Trek Timelines and the new Apple Arcade game Star Trek Legends are also out there. Of those four, only Star Trek Legends doesn't yet use celebrity voiceovers. It's also likely to be relevant that Star Trek Fleet Command and Star Trek Timelines have both had their markets recently disrupted by Legends debuting earlier this month, and they could be looking for star power to boost their revenues. Star Trek Online is an outside possibility, but it's worth noting that Dorn has voiced Worf for them before, and while the game often has celebrity voiceovers like Jerry Ryan, Sonequa Martin Green, and Mary Chieffo, they've never before announced them using sponsored social media posts. Personally, my money's on Fleet Command. We'll see. The best way to keep abreast of Dorn's progress is to follow him on Twitter at twitter.com/AKA Worf. His now infamous tweet already has over 3,000 retweets and 27,000 likes. And of course, as soon as we know more, you'll know more. Right, next up, a little music. Last week, the Star Trek Discovery Season 3 soundtrack was released by Lakeshore Records. News of the release came to us by way of TrekCore.com with an exclusive preview from the soundtrack. Composed by Emmy Award winner Jeff Russo, the collection will feature 40 tracks from across the entire third season of Discovery. The release of the soundtrack should be no surprise to fans. After all, Discovery's third season premiered all the way back in October of 2020, approximately 47 years ago. However, the music in Discovery's third season is unique and it wasn't easy to create. The entire recording process took place remotely last summer, during the height of the COVID-19 restrictions and lockdown procedures. At the time, Russo said the complicated process involved recording each individual in their home and then combining all of it to make the orchestra, which enabled the orchestra members to record safely during the pandemic. On the release of the soundtrack, Russo said, "It certainly proved to be the most thrilling and fulfilling season to date." Trekcore posted a full-length track from the album, The Andorian Opera, in their article. The 3.5-minute piece comes from the episode There Is a Tide. A limited edition vinyl of the Star Trek Discovery Season 3 original series soundtrack is planned for sale later this year. For now, the soundtrack is available for digital purchase from Amazon Music, Spotify, iTunes, and Apple Music. Of course, you can also hear the music the way it was meant to be heard by watching Star Trek Discovery, which is now available to stream on Paramount+. Now, I've got Trek Trivia Tuesday here in just a moment, but first, a word from BetterHelp. So, change is hard. Not all of us are great at managing life changes on our own, which is why if you are facing a big change like I did recently, you might want to seek the advice of a counselor. Of course, you have a lot of choices, but one service that you should consider is BetterHelp, and here's why. First, their specialized counselors can help you concentrate on the help that you need. They can help you with stress, trauma, self-esteem issues, and more. Second, they're focused on making a great match, which means that it's free and easy to change counselors if you don't feel that it's working. And lastly, BetterHelp lets you seek counseling on your own terms with web and mobile apps and the option to meet over the phone or video. It's available worldwide and it's more affordable than traditional offline counseling. I want you to start living a happier life today. And as a daily Star Trek news listener, you'll get 10% off your first month of BetterHelp by visiting betterhelp.com/DSTN. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/DSTN. Now, it's Tuesday, and you know what that means. It's Trek Trivia Tuesday. Okay. Did you know the Bajoran time of cleansing was a Bajoran religious ritual in which the Bajoran people fasted and abstained from worldly pleasures for around a month? The event is reminiscent of Ramadan, a month-long event observed by Muslims worldwide as a time of fasting and prayer. Ramadan moves across the Gregorian calendar from year to year, since it represents the 9th month of the Islamic or Hijri calendar. This year, Ramadan runs from Monday, April 12th through Wednesday, May 12th, and is followed by Eid al-Fitr, the festival of breaking the fast. For those of you currently observing, Ramadan Mubarak. So now, a trivia question for you. In Star Trek Deep Space Nine, the Bajoran time of cleansing was blamed for a drop in customers at Quark's. Quark attempted to recoup his losses by cutting the pay of Quark's staff, but they resisted and ended up forming a union. But what was the name of the episode where all of that took place? Find out on Friday's episode of Daily Star Trek News. Well, that's it for today's Daily Star Trek News from the Roddenberry Podcast Network. Don't forget to check out the other great shows on the network at podcasts.roddenberry.com. Daily Star Trek News is produced by me, Alison Pitt, with selected stories by Chris Peterson. Today's show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Get 10% off your first month of counseling at betterhelp.com/DSTN. I'm back tomorrow with more of the Star Trek news you need to know, and this week in Trek history. I'm Alison Pitt. Live long and prosper.
This is a Roddenberry podcast. For more great podcasts, visit podcast.roddenberry.com.